So let's go ahead and get into this homemade gumbo. But before we begin prepping anything else, we're going to go ahead and pop 2 whole chicken breasts into some boiling water. Let that simmer for about an hour. In the water is going to be onion, celery, garlic, salt, and pepper. Check the description box below. All the exact ingredients will be listed down there. So this is our holy trinity. It is 1 cup of onion, 1 cup of green and red pepper, and 1 cup of celery. So what we're going to do is dice them up. Put it in a pot on low heat with nothing else in it. Just kind of think of humans in a sauna. They're going to create their own moisture until it gets tender. Once we get the veggies going, we are going to start on our roux, which is pretty much the base of a good thick gravy. And with that, we are going to use 1 cup of vegetable oil to equal parts 1 cup of flour. Starting this mixture on the stove top just so that I can get like a pudding-like consistency, and then we're going to go ahead and pop it in the oven for 350, let it marinate for a few hours, and we'll check on that soon. So at this point, we have the roux going in the oven, we have the veggies sweating on the stove. It's been about an hour since this chicken has been simmering, so we are just going to drain this water that the chicken was boiling in, and then we're going to set that aside because we're going to use that later. And then all we're going to do to the chicken for now is just shred it. So just go ahead, put it in a bowl, and then put it to the side. Remember to periodically check and stir on your roux. Ultimately, we want a nice chocolatey peanut butter color. So between then, just go ahead and stir up your roux. So for the sausage, we are going to be using andouille sausage. Go ahead and cut that up, set that to the side, and just like you do with your roux, make sure you're also checking on those sweated vegetables that we put on the stove, just giving those a stir occasionally until they get nice and tender. So remember that nice, rich peanut butter chocolatey color I was talking about earlier that you want your roux to get? Well, this is it right here. Once it gets that color, you can go ahead and take it on out the oven, and we're going to go ahead and combine that with those vegetables that we're sweating. So I hope you held on to that chicken broth I told you to put aside earlier. If not, no worries. You can always buy chicken broth at the store. But we are going to go ahead and pour that into this now vegetable roux mixture that we have going on. We're going to put this on high until it gets to a boil. It's definitely going to cook down some, get a bit thicker. Once it gets to that point, we are going to use some store-bought broth. We used almost this whole container, but not exactly. At this point, it's literally up to you and your preference on how thick or how loose you want your stew to be. Next up is adding the meats and the seasoning. We are going to save the shrimp for last just because those cook fairly quick. But right now we're going to add chicken, sausage, Joe's hot stuff seasoning, my dad's
special blend.
If I figure out what's in here, I'll definitely link it below. To give it more flavor, we're adding about 4 cloves of garlic along with about a teaspoon of chicken bouillon. And also make sure you're tasting along the way. You got to make sure it's good. And if you're cooking for other folks, also make sure you're doing it hygienically. I don't know if that's a word, but it's going to be today. And I think we came up to the conclusion that we're going to add 1 more clove of garlic, and then we're going to go ahead and add in our shrimp. And truly, that's it for the gumbo stock. We're just going to let that simmer on low for a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and prep our green onions. This is just to garnish it on top. Also adds a nice crisp texture to the mixture as well. And then also your rice. Typically we like to use sticky jasmine rice, but we had leftover basmati rice from India the other night, which is why it didn't uphold in this shape we were trying to do with the cup. That was just extra. You don't have to do that. Just put some rice in a bowl and then go ahead and scoop your gumbo into your dish, and voila, here is your homemade gumbo. I hope y'all enjoyed this little demo. Don't forget to check the description box for more details and ingredients and measurements and all that. Yeah, and just remember that if you put love into the things you do, it'll give love back to you. So take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.